All right, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. So, I don't know if you saw the title or my announcement that I was doing this live and what the subject was, but today I'm talking about insulin resistance and like insulin resistance versus insulin sensitivity because it's two different things, and you don't want the insulin resistance, but you do want to be insulin sensitive. So I'm going to explain those two things today, and I want to give you a few tips on how you can become more insulin sensitive. And this will also help you if you do have insulin resistance already, or diabetes, any kind of blood sugar issues, pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes, any of this. Following these tips that I give you can help you reverse your blood sugar issues and become more insulin sensitive. So I want to ask you something. Have you ever wondered why people become insulin resistant before they're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes? Because usually that's the case. Before you're just diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, the doctor or your healthcare provider usually lets you know, hey, insulin you're insulin resistant or you're pre-diabetic. Your labs, your blood work is showing that. So why is that? Why do you always get insulin resistance or pre-diabetes before you are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes? And I mean, insulin resistance and pre-diabetes is pretty much your body giving you signs and symptoms that, hey, something needs to change because because things aren't going right. Things aren't working right in your body, and if you don't change, then you're going to become diabetic. That is your body's way of telling you that. That's what signs and symptoms are. So we need to be paying attention to those. So anyway, I'm going to explain like why we should watch out for signs and symptoms of insulin resistance. And also, I want to explain why we need to be focusing more on becoming insulin sensitive and how to get there. So, what is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is when it's your body's way of telling you that you need to make a change because things aren't functioning properly. So the role of insulin, let's talk about that. Insulin is a hormone secreted by your pancreas, and its main role is to regulate the amount of nutrients circulating in your bloodstream. So when you eat a meal that contains carbs, the amount of blood sugar in your bloodstream increases. And when your pancreas senses that, it releases insulin into the blood. And what insulin does is it travels around your bloodstream, and it's trying to clean up all the glucose that you put in there from your meal. It's trying to clean it all up and get it all out of your bloodstream because you don't want a lot of glucose in your bloodstream. That's what's going to raise your blood sugar to a high level. So insulin goes in there. Your pancreas sends the insulin in there to go clean it up. And so this process is what gets your blood sugar back to a normal level. That's the point of insulin. It goes in there, gets the glucose out, and it gets your blood sugar back to a normal level because there's a certain level of glucose in your blood sugar that your body wants to stay at. It doesn't like to be high, and it doesn't necessarily like to be too low either. There's a range that it likes to be in. And so that's insulin's role in your body. So let me know if this is making sense to you. Hopefully it is. And let me know if you're joining me live. I forgot to say that. Let me know, because I like to know who's watching, because I can't see who's watching. You can see me, but I can't see you. So I like to know who's watching, and I like to know who is watching the replay too. So let me know that. Okay, so let me add something. Some people can handle carbohydrates better than others, and it's not fair, but it's just the truth. And like, I know people that thrive off of carbs. Like, their bodies just seem to do very well with carbohydrates. But for many of us, that's not the case. And it's just the way our bodies are. It's genetics. And I wish there was something that we could do to change that, but there's really not. It's just the cards we are dealt when we're born. And so some of that, some of the reason others do very well with carbs and others do not is due to our modern lifestyle habits. So you maybe when you were little, you could eat carbs, like when you were young or when you were a teenager, you could eat carbs and it wouldn't affect you. But as you eat more and more and more, and especially like the more processed carbs, your body becomes less efficient at using those carbohydrates. Like, you start damaging your body, your pancreas starts to get damaged and stuff by having to work so hard to clean up your all the glucose in your system, all the glucose in your blood. So as you get older, you become less efficient at cleaning up those carbs. So we really need to be watching the amount of processed carbs we're eating. That is the real issue. It's not whole food carbs. Like, yes, you can go overboard on those, but it's more the processed carbs that our bodies don't recognize and they don't know what to do with, because processed food is man-made food. It's chemicals and things that our body doesn't know what to do with because it's not used to it. It's man-made. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't recognize it. So, it really messes everything up. It messes our hormones up. It makes them not work right because your body doesn't know what to do with these man-made foods. So I hope that I explained the role of insulin and what insulin is. Let me know if I need to explain it further. If you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments. Even if you're catching the replay, I always go back and look and see if I have comments. So if you do have a question about that, let me know. So let's talk about insulin sensitivity now. Insulin sensitivity is how sensitive the body's cells are in response to insulin. So high insulin sensitivity allows the cells of your body to use blood glucose more efficiently. And this reduces blood sugar. So taking steps to improve your insulin sensitivity can help you reduce or prevent insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes. So another way that I've heard this before, I've heard this put before, it was some doctor on YouTube, I think, and he put it a really good way, blood sugar and insulin and all this. So I've heard, he said, it's like we all have a bucket. So you're born and you have this bucket, and the bucket is your threshold of carbohydrates, of blood sugar or glucose, whatever it is you want to call it. It's all the same. So we all are born with a bucket or a threshold of how much glucose our bodies can handle. And some people are they genetically have a large bucket, and some people have a smaller bucket. And once you fill that bucket, your body can't handle any more glucose. So, and that's like at one time, like you fill the bucket up, say you ate a meal and you filled that bucket up, and you can't handle any more glucose, and your body cleans up that glucose, gets it out of your blood and everything. And then you fill that bucket up again, and your body does the same thing. Well, if you fill that bucket up and it's overflowing, then that's when you start getting high blood sugar. Your body can't process that many carbohydrates at one time. It can't clean up all that glucose in your blood. It's too much. And when you do this over and over and over at every meal, or even every day, like say you do it once a day, eventually that's when you start having blood sugar issues and insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, when you just keep doing this over and over and over and over. So that's why we need to know how many carbohydrates we can have, how many carbohydrates our bodies can handle at one time. That's why it's so important. And we need to stay under that number. And you know, it's okay once in a while, like once a week or so. Yeah, you may get it a little bit higher. You may eat over your amount. But if you're doing this every day, 3 times a day, 6 times a day, how many ever times you eat, and you're just eating a lot of carbs, then you're going to get to that insulin resistant state much faster. So it all depends on how, you know, how much you're doing it, and that plays a role in how fast you get it, you know. So for example, when I was eating sugar every day, like I was addicted to it, I was eating it at least once a day, but it got to where I was eating it multiple times a day. I was getting to my insulin resistance a lot faster. I was 34 when I found out I could have been having it, I could have been having insulin resistance before that, and I just didn't know it. But I was literally overfilling my bucket, my threshold of carbohydrates, every day, multiple times a day. And so I got to that insulin resistant state much faster than, you know, other people. So that's what I had to learn. And so that's why it's so important to know how many carbs you need, how many carbs you can have without spiking your blood sugar or overfilling your bucket, your threshold. So anyways, hopefully I explained what insulin sensitivity is okay. And now I want to give you some tips for how you can help increase your insulin sensitivity and start reversing your blood sugar issues. Because it works for both. It goes hand in hand. If you do these tips, you're going to start to see your blood sugar go down. You're going to start to see you can't see it, but you're going to start having better insulin sensitivity, and that's what we want. We want to be insulin sensitive. And you will most likely, if you start doing this and becoming more insulin sensitive, you're going to balance your hormones, because insulin is a hormone, and you're going to start noticing you're losing weight, you're feeling better, you know, you're going to start seeing a lot of symptoms get better. So these will also help start to reverse your insulin resistance if you already have it, or type 2 diabetes or anything like that. So the first way to become more insulin sensitive is to get enough sleep. And I know I talk about this all the time for different reasons, but getting enough sleep really helps us regulate hormones. It's one of the biggest factors for regulating hormones. And insulin is a hormone. And this is something that I had to learn because I used to make exercise my priority when I was eating a lot of sugar and trying to get it, like burn it off. I thought, oh, well, I've got to get up an hour early so I can burn off all that sugar, or get ahead of it or whatever. And come to find out, when I went through my health issues and I was trying to get healthy and I was reading more about this stuff, actually sleep is more important. You want to get enough sleep so you can regulate your hormones naturally. So that's what sleep does. And so if you don't sleep enough or you're not getting quality sleep, then it causes hormone imbalances. So you've got to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but it also has to be quality sleep. It can't be sleep where you're waking up 3 times a night. If that's the case, then you definitely have hormone imbalances. And if you're like waking up to go to the bathroom at night and stuff, there's some issues going on, probably some hormone imbalances going on. And so you need to work on getting enough sleep. And the next thing is to exercise. So exercise is really like one of the best ways to, like after you've eaten a high carb meal and you know that you have too much blood sugar or glucose in your blood, start moving. And that is one of the easiest, fastest ways to get your blood sugar back to normal, to help your body get back to normal. So exercise increases insulin sensitivity. It helps move sugar into the muscles. And it's been shown that a combination of aerobic exercise and resistance training is the most effective at increasing insulin sensitivity. And that doesn't mean that you have to do an hour of exercise or even do it every day. I mean, it would be great if you could, but if you just don't have the time or you haven't built up that habit yet, that's okay. Start with 1 time a week. Start with 2 times a week for 10 minutes. You don't have to exercise for an hour a day to get the benefits of exercise, to get the benefit of becoming more insulin sensitive. All you need to do is about 10 minutes. 10 minutes of walking. Do 10 minutes of walking some days and 10 minutes of resistance training like squats, push-ups, lunges, things like that to work your muscles. Because there's been a lot of studies showing that a combination of those 2 things are really good for becoming insulin sensitivity. So one day you may want to do a 10-minute walk. The next day you may want to do 10 minutes of alternating squats, push-ups, and lunges, and then just build up. Like if you could build up the time, like if you want to do it 3 days a week and build up your time like to 30 minutes or so, or you could build up your days a week. Like if you want to do 10 minutes every single day, like just start building up to that. Do once a day, then try to add another day, then add another day. But like 10 minutes is really like you can accomplish so much in 10 minutes and do so much good for your body. So just move so you can help your body get that glucose out of your bloodstream. Okay, stress is another thing that affects your body's ability to regulate blood sugar. So stress encourages the body to go into a fight or flight mode. I know we've all heard about that. It stimulates the production of stress hormones called cortisol and glucagon. And this is good when you need a quick source of energy, but it's not good when your body's in constant fight or flight mode. It's only good if it's like temporary, but our modern world makes it to where a lot of us are in constant fight or flight mode. And that's why we get depressed, anxious, stressed, stressed out. Like we just feel like we can't cope. We get burned out, burnout. All of these things because we're in constant fight or flight. We feel stressed all the time and we're not dealing with the stress. And I'm not saying that, you need to avoid all stress and you can't have a stressful life. That's not realistic. What I'm saying is we need to take steps and we need to create habits to manage our stress. So, the stress hormones, the cortisol and glucagon, make the body more insulin resistant. So if you're under constant stress and you're in that constant fight or flight mode, and many of us don't realize we don't realize it because we're so used to being stressed out that just feels normal to us. Then you're gonna naturally become more insulin resistant because you're always stressed out. And so some ways to manage your stress, like even when you haven't had a stressful day, if you just start doing these things daily, or even just if you can do it 2 times a week or 3 times a week, for 5 to 10 minutes, this will greatly reduce your stress and really help your insulin or help regulate it. So some things that I suggest are meditation, deep breathing, listening to calming music and just like kind of sitting there and relaxing, and also like spending time with a pet. Like we got a dog. We've had him almost a year now, and that's one of the best things I think is just sitting on the floor with him, just petting him, cuddling with him, and it like really does calm me down. Like I love it. And so those things, it only takes 5 or 10 minutes. And even if you can just do it 2 or 3 times a week, it's going to greatly reduce your stress. It's going to help you manage your stress. And then that will help you become more insulin sensitive or start helping you reverse your insulin resistance. So hopefully that makes sense. And then the last tip I have is to cut down on carbs. So this is one of the best ways to start becoming more insulin sensitive and reversing your insulin resistance. Carbs are the main nutrient that causes insulin blood levels to rise. So reducing your carb intake can help increase your insulin sensitivity. And the type of carbs you choose to eat are also important. So it's best to stick with whole food carbs and most of the time, and because these foods your body recognizes, like I talked about before, your body knows what whole foods are. It knows what to do with them. It does not know what to do with processed carbs. So that's why a lot of people get high blood sugar, get inflammation, and start getting like symptoms and things because your body's just trying to get that processed food out of you because it doesn't know what to do with it. It can't use it. So your body recognizes whole foods and it knows what to do with them. So some examples of whole foods are sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, oats, and then also fruits and vegetables. And it's important to watch your portions, especially with the oats and the rice and the quinoa and stuff, because those you can't eat too much of them before it become like it adds up quickly. You know, they add up quickly, and you can eat them. Just pay attention to how much is a serving size, and that'll help you, because a lot of times we think, oh, a cup of this is a serving size, when a lot of times for those kind of foods, it's really a fourth of a cup or a half of a cup. And so we're eating like double, triple, quadruple portions, and we don't realize it. So just pay attention to your portion sizes. And so unless you are an athlete or have a very high metabolism, you don't need that many carbs. I hate to break that to you, but unless you're one of those people that just has a very high metabolism naturally, or you're an athlete, like you're running a lot, swimming a lot, biking a lot, you compete, or you're a bodybuilder or something like that, where you're training a lot, you don't need that many carbs. And most of us are getting 200-300 carbs a day and don't realize it. And we just don't need that many because we're not that active. Our ancestors, they were very active. They were outside, they were working. They didn't have all this modern stuff that we have now to help us clean our house and, take care of our yard and work and all this kind of stuff. They did it all manually. So their bodies could handle those carbohydrates. They could handle 200 or 300 carbs a day because they were active, but we are not. We're not that active. So we don't need that many carbs like our ancestors used to. And the number of carbs that you need is very individual, and it's based on a lot of things, like your genetics, your activity level, which we talked about, how insulin resistant you already are. So if you already have insulin resistance, then you may not need as many carbs as someone who's not insulin resistant, because that makes a difference. And this is something that all my clients get when they work with me. I give them a macro breakdown. Now, I don't do food plans. Like, I don't tell them exactly what to eat. I can make suggestions, but I don't tell. I work with adults, and so I don't tell adults, you need to eat this, you need to eat that. No. They're grown adults. They know what whole foods are. They know what processed foods are. And now I do like teach them how to read ingredient labels and how to decipher nutrition facts and all that kind of stuff. We go over all that. But they also get like a macro breakdown, because most people that I work with are way under eating protein and way over eating carbohydrates. And that is the number one thing I see when I work with clients is they've got their macro ratio all wrong. And they don't realize it. They don't know that they need 30 grams of protein at each meal. They don't know that 200 grams of carbs is too many. And that is why they're having weight gain and insulin resistance and hormonal imbalances and all these things that, their diet is causing. So anyways, when you work with me, you get individualized macronutrient breakdown, and you also get the support of one-on-one coaching. You get accountability. You get you get everything that you need in that 12 weeks to go on and live a healthy lifestyle, and you feel empowered and informed enough to go and do that yourself. So, and it's a long-term thing. Once you know these fundamentals And once you are, once we I teach you these strategies for changing your habits, and whatever your goals are, we work on those, and we give you, I give you strategies to help you work on those goals that you want. You can do this forever. You can do it on your own. You don't need help anymore, because you are armed with the information and knowledge and understanding that you need to live your life in a healthy way, in a balanced way. So if you are having any kind of blood sugar issues and you feel like you've tried everything and nothing's working for you, or you just can't seem to stick to healthy habits or break unhealthy habits, then a lot of times it's because you've become addicted to a certain food, a certain type of food, or you just have really strong cravings that you try to ignore, you try to break, but you just don't know how. And that's what I can help you with. And a lot of times it is just getting your hormones balanced, and then you can start to feel better and lose weight. So that's what I help people with. And so I offer a free 20-minute habit change strategy call for this, so you can kind of see how it would be to work with me. And this is not like a sales call. I'm not going to try to pressure you into working with me. It's just a little mini strategy call, 20 minutes or so, to help you see, okay, to kind of get clear on, okay, these are my goals, and this is my lifestyle, these are my habits, and how can I start to go in the direction that I want to with my goals? How can I start achieving these? And I usually give people 2 or 3 different strategies they can implement, and they're very simple, easy strategies to implement, so they can start moving towards their goals that they say they want. And that's all it is. I don't sell you anything. I don't pressure you into anything. I just really want to help you. I want to help you see, that getting healthy and achieving the goals, your health goals that you want, can be very simple. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of preparation or anything like that. It's just you need to understand it and have knowledge about what's keeping you from your goals. And that's what I kind of help you do. I kind of listen to you and understand what's going on for you, and then I give you some tips to help you start implementing. I give you some strategies to implement so you can start achieving your goals. So anyways, if you're interested in that call, just put habit in the comments, or you can DM me. If you don't want to make a comment on this live video, you can always DM me and just let me know you're interested, or you can put habit in the comments, and I will send you my calendar if you want to sign up for a call. Anyways, guys, I hope this all made sense. Let me know in the comments. Say hey in the comments, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye.